What's going on, everybody, and welcome into another edition of On the Record presented by CalledIt. I'm your host, Danny Burke, and I am happy to be here with you on this Monday as we have plenty to talk about throughout the world of pop culture, business, sports. Heck, you know we cover it all here on the record at Danny Burke 5, where you can catch me on X, CalledIt_media, CalledIt.media for Instagram and X, and of course, www.calledit.media, where you can sign up for the daily newsletter to get the daily call, which will be discussed at length here on today's program. We'll be with you for about the next half hour or so. I'll be joined by Adam Kaufman and Cormac Lichty. They've been familiar here on the program, and we have got plenty good banter for you, and not only surrounding today's featured call, which focuses on Game 3 of the NBA Finals between the Knicks and the Spurs. Also, another topic of conversation surrounding that huge event out there in New York. Donald Trump, the president of the United States, announced that he will be attending the game. That's completely put a halt to these watch parties. Plenty of people are upset about it. We will get Adam's and Cormac's thoughts on that. Social media has been going nuts about that attendance, but there's also some trades to be had surrounding that, whether or not the president's name will be said on the broadcast. A little expensive, but hey, value can be relative, so we'll pick these guys' brains about it. And then in between, the World Cup is starting on Thursday. A unique trade that you can get involved with Cristiano Ronaldo at what we of course think is going to be his last World Cup for Portugal. Will there be tears shed from his eyeballs at any point throughout the World Cup? Believe it or not, you can trade on that. But let's go ahead and bring in one of our guests, Adam Kaufman. Adam, welcome back to the program, my friend. Happy to see you here. I know you're excited for tonight, Game 3 of the NBA Finals. I'm curious how you're feeling, though. I know you were kind of high on the Spurs heading into this series. Have you reinvested in San Antonio? Are you kind of taking a back seat? How are we feeling about this championship so far?
Not great. Not great, Danny. Yeah, to your point, big on the Spurs going into this thing. I really didn't think this was going to be all that difficult a series for San Antonio. And clearly it has been immensely difficult on the part of you got Landry Shamet taking over the world for New York. And so it's not been pretty, obviously, for the Spurs to this point in time. I did invest, as we talked about here on the show last week, going into the series at Spurs minus 1.5 games. I didn't think the Knicks would take them to 7, let alone win the set. And so the fact that this has played out as it has to this point surprises me a great deal. That said, am I going back to the well on this? I am. One more time. To me, the Spurs, in any individual game, it just should be San Antonio. And I know the environment is going to be insane there at the Mecca, Madison Square Garden. There are all sorts of different reasons based on what we've seen the last couple of games to invest in New York, to believe the Knicks are going to go up 3-0, maybe even eventually sweep San Antonio. I have to believe, and I've been wrong before, obviously, but I've got to believe that San Antonio, with its season largely on the line, because as we know, in NBA history, no team has come back to win a series down 3 games. I have to believe San Antonio, pride on the line and so much more, is going to show up here. And so to get San Antonio to win the game, that is an extremely favorable number. The Knicks are the favorites at this point in time. And so I would like to look to the underdog in this situation and think the Spurs are going to make this series more interesting. One last time, Danny, if it doesn't go my way this time, Game 4, I'll probably just sit it out.
Well, we'll be sure to pick your brain again deeper into tonight's game, because again, that features our daily call and part of the run, our challenge where we're looking to turn $250 into $1 million with a trade every single day. Currently, it's trade 2, so the pot is now up to $520. Called it, had the Golden Knights in Game 3 over the weekend. Just an utterly insane game that VGK somehow held on to. But now the next call in line is going to feature Game 3 between the Knicks and the Spurs, which we can't wait to dive into a little bit deeper momentarily. Alongside us as well, we have Cormac Lichty, who I know is very excited not only for tonight's action, but Thursday, my man, the first match in the World Cup. I'm sure you got something spectacular planned. You've been waiting plenty of time for this. So what are your plans this week for the first match in the World Cup?
I mean, this is a surreal feeling. Honestly, every day it's becoming more real and real to think that the World Cup, not only is the World Cup just around the corner, but it's in our backyard as well. I can't believe it. So I'm so excited. This Thursday, of course, I will be watching the World Cup, not here in this lovely stadium that we're joined in, but I will be in my bedroom watching it. Of course, I love to watch football games live. So yeah, I'm so excited to be able to watch the beautiful game, the best sporting event in the world, the best sporting event in the world. I'll say it. You know what? I'll say it.
Hey, love it, man. It lives up to the hype. It especially did the last time around, and can't wait for things to get kicked off this Thursday. And of course, we will have plenty of coverage here at Called It and on the record. And we'll get into our soccer talk in a little bit. Again, we talked about a unique market with Cristiano Ronaldo. I know Cormac's one of his favorite players, and I'm sure he's got plenty of thoughts on whether or not he will be crying at some point during the 2026 World Cup. But gentlemen, let's go ahead and bring both of you in here and talk about tonight's game. Game 3 of the NBA Finals. Kalshi right now, we have some interest at Called It with the total for this game. So in case you missed it, and again, you can sign up at calledit.media, absolutely free to get the daily newsletter, and you can get a hold of it early on so you can know when to get the better trade, the better number if the market moves against you, right? And we've kind of seen that because the call for this game was over 213.5 points between the Knicks and the Spurs. Now, Called It believes that the chances should be more so at 57%, and currently you see it at 56%. So a little bit worse in terms of where the call was initially made because it was at 55% when they placed it, but not significant movement. Now, just to recap, Game 1 and Game 2, Knicks got the job done 105-95. Game 2, it was 105-104. So the under has certainly been comfortable in both of these first spots. Now it's ticked all the way up to 213.5. You can still get it again at that 56% mark, which comes out to about minus 137 American odds. Most markets have it at that flat rate, right? That's at about 216.5 for the total, but still not too much that you have to invest in terms of expense to get about 3 points better. So, Adam, I want to kick it to you first, my man. I know you're heavily invested. You certainly have interest in a side. What do you think of Called It taking the total going over 213.5?
It's a little uncomfortable after what we saw in the first two games. As you said, 200 points in game 1, 209 points in game 2. That being said, I'm in line with the call, but I also want to say I think it's kind of correlated, and I don't know if you agree with me on this. In the regular season, we blew past this total when these teams matched up 3 times. 2 of those soared past this number. The one time that went below it was a blowout. I don't think we're getting a blowout here in this game, one way or the other. I expect a tightly contested game. And if you believe that San Antonio is going to rebound, is going to respond and win this game, I think you do so with a belief that we're going to see points in this one. Ultimately, it's not been the Knicks that have had trouble necessarily putting points on the board. It's been the Spurs because the Knicks have frustrated them. They bottled them up the way that Karl Anthony Towns and even Mitchell Robinson, the way they have contained, to whatever degree you actually can contain Victor Wembanyama, but obviously they have frustrated Wemby immensely. Their offense, they're putting up bad, ugly shots. Free throw success has been intermittent. You look back you could do this for the regular season if you want the larger sample size, but even just this couple month postseason to this point, I think back to what we saw in these first couple games, Danny, and I was doing some math. I broke out the calculator. And in game 1, these teams combined to shoot below 40%. They were shooting below 30% from distance. The free throw percentage was up around 85. In game 2, right around 44%, below 40 from 3. Again, these two teams combined, the free throw percentage, was all the way down at 73. Now, in the postseason, regular season as well, but in the postseason, these two teams, field and 3, shot remarkably better, both of them, than what we have seen through the very small sample size of these first 2 games. And so I just think water is going to find its level. And again, if you do believe in the Spurs, you are going to see points in this game. I think that is the smart investment. If you do like the Knicks, if you think New York just continues doing what it's doing, and again, leading to all of that frustration for the Spurs, then yeah, I do see some value on the other side, but I'm in line with the call.
So, Cormac, when you hear that, of course, I think it's important to note you look at game one, the Knicks were catching four in the hook, right? That's where the market had this spread. They win that game, and then it moves up to as high as seven. It seemed ridiculous. And now they're going back home, and they're only, what, laying 2.5? Because Adam makes a great point. Certainly, this is going to be correlated with who you think wins, because if it's going to be the Knicks, we've seen their type of tempo. Their pace is down low throughout the regular season. Won the first two games, total has stayed under. Do you see that same correlation? And if so, how does that affect what you believe about tonight's call?
Yeah, you know what? I look at this, and actually, Adam and I had a similar thought process here. Looking at regular season games, and of course, also the NBA Cup as well. And you see it. I think, if anything, these last two games have been the outliers when these two teams have met this season. They have been the matches, or the games, excuse me, where they're scoring less points. So I do think, especially also because, let's be honest, Victor Wembanyama is the most important player probably for either of these teams on the court. And so I have seen game one, he shot 28%, a horrible from the field, 28%, then up to 52% in game two. I think if it continues on this trend, Wembanyama is, to me, a very dedicated basketball player. He's somebody who really, really wants to win. And of course, everybody there wants to win. But I don't know why. He just strikes me as somebody who will put in the extra work to make sure, to learn, to improve, obviously over a short period of time. But I just really believe that Cat has gotten the better of him over the last two games. He will not allow that to happen again. And I do think that when he does not only better, obviously scoring points, but I even just think rebounding. He was out-rebounded in game two by Cat. And I think that if he's able to kind of elevate his level, he will also elevate his team's level, pick up the players around him. And yeah, I think that we're going to be seeing more points in game three. I really do.
Yeah. And again,
also, can we get a ticked off Wemby? A guy that we had to listen to, and I love Wemby, so I'm not being critical of Wemby in the sense of how outspoken he's been about basically wanting a level of credit, right? I mean, he campaigned for most valuable player and didn't get it. SGA wins it. He comes out, he responds. It was a great last couple wins against Oklahoma City, including a pivotal must-win hostile environment, game 7 on the road at OKC. Now, this environment is going to be like nothing he has ever seen in his career. Again, we'll get to it. The president of the United States in attendance, Celebrity Row, Chalamet and Stiller and Morgan and Faye and Hathaway and Lee and all these guys. It's going to be insane at MSG here in the NBA Finals because the Knicks are chasing their first championship since 1973. It's been more than a half century. It's been more than a quarter century since the Knicks have even been in this position, and they're up 2-0 after stealing a pair of games that they trailed by double digits in each of the first two on the road. And so Wemby, coming into this environment, after we saw him take, 4 shots in the first half of game 2, he needs to be MVP Wemby. He needs to be first team All-NBA Wemby. This guy needs to go out and have a double-digit scoring first quarter. We need to see him put up a dozen shots or more in the opening half. He needs to set the tone. It can't just be deferential to other really good guys on that team. Don't get me wrong. Castle and Harper and Fox and Champagny and Vassell and Johnson. The list goes on. Like, they can hit you from any number of different places, but they're not doing it consistently right now. And Wemby needs to be the catalyst. He has to be.
And you know what, Adam, if I can, I also think with Wembanyama, this seems a little bit backwards. It seems like it would almost be the obvious. He strikes me as an athlete who strives under the pressure, under almost a hostile environment. He really strikes me as somebody who will almost overperform when he has people to prove wrong, when he gets to kind of silence the haters. I mean, you were talking about it just a moment ago, how he's campaigning himself. He wants to get the credit that he thinks he rightfully deserves. And so if he can do it in front of a crowd of haters, I almost think that will fuel him to play better than when he's got people cheering for him. Honestly, I think that'll be an advantage for Victor Wembanyama in game 3. Wow.
My wallet hopes so.
See, I think you guys are nuts for thinking that it's just going to be an immediate Spurs type of bounce back here. I mean, clearly the market had it incorrect the first two games. Now you have to go in front of that celebrity row in a hostile environment where it's just going to be bananas in a tougher shooting stadium that players talk about all the time with the backdrop at MSG with an inexperienced team. I think the Spurs continue to struggle to score. I get that the market's ticking up to 216 and it's a better number at 213.5 from what the call is. So based on getting the better closing number at that makes sense, but I mean, this is just not a good environment for San Antonio, and I think it continues to be lower scoring unless the Knicks just absolutely go off offensively. So I'm the opposition here, guys. I'm actually going against it.
Danny's just upset that his Bears are moving to Indiana, and he's taking it out on us.
Come on, Indiana, let's go.
Come on, Indiana. You just knew that was coming up with Cormac here, the resident.
Come on, Indiana on the map. Let's go.
All right, we're moving on. Now you got me pissed off, Adam. All right. Well, speaking of heightened emotions here, guys, let's talk about what we may see from a certain top player in the World Cup. Cristiano Ronaldo. Will he cry at the World Cup? Now, at Polymarket, you can trade on this. 68% is what we are seeing for the yes. Now, again, the bylines pretty much are the crying must occur on the field or bench area. Tears must be visibly shed during this 2026 campaign. Cormac, if you have conviction in this market, I need to hear it. Do you have the inside info on what's going to be happening with these tear ducts of Cristiano Ronaldo?
Well, I'm just getting word right now. Here's the thing. With Cristiano Ronaldo, I actually think that this is a no-brainer. Honestly, I believe this is a no-brainer. I see so much value in the yes here because Cristiano Ronaldo, again, I love Ronaldo. This is nothing against him. He cries a lot. He cries a lot for good and for bad. Look at even just, what was it, last summer, Nations League final, after Portugal wins, he cries. The Euro final in 2016, when Portugal wins, he cries. So win or lose, last World Cup, when Portugal loses, you won't believe it. He cries. This guy, he's emotional. He loves football. And he loves winning. So when he doesn't win, he gets upset about it. And when he does win, it's tears of joy. So as far as I see it, either way, win or lose, elimination or ultimate glory, he's going to cry. There's going to be tears shed. I believe absolutely Cristiano Ronaldo will cry. Yeah.
Adam, same thoughts, or do you think he's going to hang tough here?
I can't help but think about some of those commercials where the troops return home and they're greeted by their dogs and it just breaks you apart on the couch when you're watching. That's kind of what honestly, like, it seems like sort of a weird comparison, but I think of that when I think of Ronaldo because I just know there's a certain level of inevitability. To Cormac's point, we're going to get tears. It's going to happen. This guy is historically emotional for all of the reasons that have already been outlined, whether it's the premature loss, obviously, to Morocco in the quarterfinals of 2022 in the World Cup, when again, was it his last World Cup? Is he going to come back? Lots of people assume that he was done. Obviously, as we know now at 41, he is back. Well, at 41, he's done. It's not happening again. He's not going to be in the World Cup at 45 years old. He's not soccer's, football's Tom Brady. It's not going to happen. This is the end of the road. It's not going to.
You don't know that. You don't know that.
I don't know that. If I knew the future, I would be dripping wealth. But I believe in my heart of hearts that there is no way this dude is playing in the World Cup at 45. I just don't believe it. And again, you mentioned what happened, the Euros of 2024. He cries. He cries when things are good. He cries when things are bad. He's an emotional guy, and that's okay. I'm not attacking him for it. We all got to let it loose every once in a while. He is someone that, I'd get a little swept up maybe in some of those bylaws that you mentioned, Danny, having to, where are the tears happening? And it's not enough to just, sort of well up and you see it in his eyes. Right. No, you got to see tears streaming down his face. That could get you. But even still, the history of getting consoled by teammates and all of it, I would expect to see some tears here.
Cormac, that might be another marker we have to hit, just if Ronaldo's going to be coming back in 4 more years after this.
You know what? It's not even a question of whether or not he will be there, like, athletically, or whether or not he'll be up to the level that you need just performance wise. It's absolutely just a question of, does he still want to play? Because realistically, until the day that he doesn't want to play for Portugal, Ronaldo has changed the entire trajectory of Portugal's international hopes and dreams. Before Ronaldo, I think Portugal had only ever qualified for maybe one, or I think it was one, maybe two World Cups ever in the history of World Cups. And since then, they've qualified for what? Is this the fifth or sixth straight that they've qualified for? So he's completely changed the trajectory of this nation. And so I think realistically, maybe even if he's not at that level, they are going to trust Cristiano because he's given them a level of hope and belief and winning trophies that they could have never dreamed of 30 years ago. So for me, yes, Cristiano, look, if he wants to play, and I believe he's delusional enough to believe that he could play at 45 years old, I don't see any reason why. Yeah, I think that he might be that guy to break the trend. Honestly, I do believe that.
Yeah.
Suit up, Brady.
Exactly.
He can do it too. Again, it's. I agree with you. Like physically, he might be able to maintain. It's about want. I don't know that at 45, Ronaldo's going to want to be out there doing that. That's still a grind against. I mean, in some cases, teenagers. You know, you have been overcome athletically at that point in time.
He wants to win, man. He wants to win. If he doesn't win it this time, I mean, I already believe the only reason he's not already retired is because he wants to play at the World Cup and try and get a World Cup trophy. So,
well, you and I, we haven't even talked about who you think ultimately is going to win the World Cup. I am invested in Portugal to win the World Cup. That is the only team so far that I have invested in to win the whole thing. So he can ride off into the sunset, cash for me, and then ultimately for him, he gets his trophy and see you later.
Yeah, I mean, I think that Portugal is up there. I couldn't put it down to just one because I think that especially with international football, it is so hard to, figure out exactly who's going to win, to predict who exactly is going to win, right? Because a lot of times it just comes down to moments. You're playing one single match. When it gets to knockout rounds, it's not the NBA finals. There's not 7 games. It's one match to decide everything. And so for me, I feel like a lot of times, if a penalty does or doesn't get called, if a player misjudges a tackle by 2 inches and gets a red card in the 13th minute, that just changed the entire trajectory of this country's whole World Cup. So yeah, as much as I do believe Portugal will make it very far, I think semifinals for sure. Like there's no way they don't make it to the semifinals in my books. I do also believe that, it just comes down to the moments, and hopefully they'll have the moments. They have, in my opinion, the greatest moments player of all time in Cristiano Ronaldo. They have one of the strongest midfields. Actually, I believe the strongest midfield in the world with Bruno, Neves, and Vitinha. But it's just going to come down to the moments. It's going to come down to the moments. That's what's beautiful about the World Cup, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, at a perfect moment would be Cristiano Ronaldo crying on his way to cashing, you, Adam, having your trade on Portugal, winning the whole dang thing. Again, the market thinks there's a 68% chance it happens, but if you're believing it's more so a certainty and they get to these later stages, you got to be feeling pretty good about that coming to fruition. So again,
you know what? If Ronaldo cries, I'll cry too. If he lifts the trophy, I'll cry with him. You know what? We'll be side by side crying. You know what? I'm there with him.
So that's 100% then at Cormac. If it's the correlated Ronaldo crying, Cormac crying, it's guaranteed.
The thing is, actually, you know what? I might cry either way, no matter what. Now that I think about it, if they lose or win, I want Ronaldo to succeed. So if they succeed, I'll be happy for him, and if they don't, I'll be devastated. Either way.
Either way, we're getting tears from Cormac. All right, fellas, we've got one more area that we want to bring home before we wrap this up here on the record. We're going back to the hardwood, Game 3 of the NBA Finals. So naturally, the big storyline is just that the Knicks, they've been underdogs in the first 2 games. They've won both. The underdogs are on the top now, leading 2-0. What's also making headlines is the president of the United States, Donald Trump. Shocker, he's making the headlines, but it's surrounding Game 3 of the NBA Finals, so it looks like he is going to be in attendance. And naturally, following that has resulted in all the watch parties outside of Madison Square Garden being canceled. And then the ticket prices are hiking, extra security procedures, all the song and dance. Naturally, that's left a bunch of Knicks fans, basketball fans in general, ticked off. All the comments booing him, saying they don't want him there, not a true basketball fan. All of these different type of remarks just being ticked off at the president. And alongside that, because obviously I want you guys' thoughts on his attendance in general, but there's a trade to be had. Of course there is. At CalledIt, Trump, he's trading at 77%, or American odds come out to -360. to be mentioned in the broadcast. Now, people may be looking at that 77% and thinking, oh, that's very expensive to invest in. But again, value can be relative. How do you not mention the President of the United States being there? It's such an integral facet of it being those watch parties. They keep panning to that in every game, Adam. So I would be shocked if they didn't mention his name.
Oh, he'll be mentioned. He'll be shown on camera. Like that's easy. I mean, we keep using the phrase no brainer. I can't envision a world in which that doesn't happen. I am not a New Yorker. I am not a Knicks fan, but I do appreciate stories and sentiment and history. And the fact that Knicks fans who have been waiting for as long as they have been waiting for this, and we've talked about it, they have not had the opportunity in more than a quarter century to host an NBA Finals game. For Donald Trump to come in, and how big a basketball fan is he? I mean, it's not President Obama, who, intertwined with basketball in every way imaginable, and we always knew that when he was in office, and since, for that matter. But for Trump to come in and impact, again, these watch parties in and around Madison Square Garden, I just think it sucks, to put it bluntly. It's really unfortunate for these fans, and I'm not going to pretend that I know all of the ins and outs of what needs to happen from a security standpoint to where maybe you could get him in the building and he's there and he's courtside and he's featured in the way that he wants to be featured, but still all those fans could be outside of various barricades and still watching in close proximity. I just think back to, and who am I? I'm a nobody. I remember when I was in my, early 20s, I think, when the Red Sox snapped the 86-year curse and won the World Series. I knew I wasn't going to be in the park at Fenway, but all I wanted was to be in the atmosphere, was to be in the area. And I was, a couple blocks away watching that clinching game at a bar. And I just wanted to be able to run out in the streets with everybody else and celebrating something that we never, ever thought we would see. I realize there's a big difference between 1918 for the Red Sox and 1973 for the Knicks. But there are a lot of 20-somethings and beyond that love to watch these games and be around Madison Square Garden and hang out in the area during important games that have never seen a Knicks championship, that weren't around for Clyde Frazier and Willis Reed and all that happened with those multiple titles over the Lakers in the 70s. And so I just feel badly for them. I do. And there's an irony to all of this as well. And a buddy texted me earlier, Danny, he's like, just the funniest thing about this whole thing is that Trump, at his core, all he really cares about is being beloved in New York. And now Knicks fans are going to hate him forever and ever because he has screwed this up.
Cormac, are you a bit disappointed for these fans as well, or is it something that doesn't really move the needle for you too much?
You know what? On a personal standpoint, I'm thankful. You know what? Of everything Donald Trump has done in the last year, maybe I should be grateful that he's spending his time watching a basketball game. But you know what? I do feel bad. I do feel bad for the fans. And I just think, you know what? This reminds me of, I don't know if you guys were ever young kids once, well, a young Adam maybe, who was on the basketball court with his friend. And then his other friend, Donald comes. Donald comes with the ball. And then Donald maybe gets upset and he has to leave. And he takes that ball right with him. He takes the fun right with him. So I see, you know what, Donald, why are we taking the ball away? Why are we taking the fun away from everyone else so that you can watch this game? I understand he needs his princess treatment. He needs his little personal safety bubble when he's at the game. That, of course, makes sense. But if you need that, and if that prohibits everyone else, the fans of the Knicks, from being able to watch the Knicks, then absolutely that's a problem. He can go do an Oval Office watch party if he cares to. But when it comes to MSG and fans being able to be on the streets like we know they love to do in New York, I say absolutely they should be able to. He has no divine right, because he's the president, to take that away from the fans. And so, yeah, I mean, absolutely. On this one, I'm Team Knicks. I'm Team Knicks fans. Get out there. I mean, obviously, don't do anything you shouldn't, but I think that is very, very unfair. I would be so upset. So upset.
Yeah, I mean, look, first game in the finals in umpteen years. If he doesn't go to game 4, maybe, he'll blow it away and it'll be okay, right? People are quick to forgive. That's usually how it works, right, fellas? So we'll see.
Sure, sure.
And I should say too, the one question I do have about the market here is, does it count if they show Donald Trump, but the commentators don't say his name? Because this is what I'm thinking, right? National anthem gets played, he's almost certainly going to be on the screen.
Ooh.
When the national anthem gets played, you're going to see Donald. The
You're
question
assuming
is,
he's
does
gonna be in
that
his seat by
count?
then.
That's also true.
Does that count? Oh, that's a good question as well.
He
Okay.
shows up late to the UFC cards, right? So he's not there at the very beginning. Maybe
right.
that would be the same. I don't know what he's done with the college football games he's gone to, if he's been there at the beginning or
The
not.
broadcast loves to do the celebrity roast stuff. Always. There's no way that he is not both shown and mentioned.
Yeah.
I would be shocked.
Yeah, I think I would have to agree with that as well. Yeah, especially because of what a event this has become, what him going to this game has become on social media. I would be really shocked if that storyline was not mentioned during the game.
Yeah, and 77% chance is what the market is telling us that they believe that Donald Trump, the president of the United States, his chances of his name being announced on the broadcast is for Game 3 of the NBA Finals. I'm with you, fellas. I think there is no question that his name will be brought up. How could it not be? I mean, it's one of the biggest storylines, and he's the president of the freaking country who is in attendance for the biggest sporting event tonight. So I'm right there with you. Value's relative, 77%. I think it's a certainty. There's no question his name will be announced. But there's also no question that today was such a blast with you guys. There was no doubt in my mind about it. Always a pleasure to have you both on the program. Again, that is Adam Kaufman at Adam M. Kaufman, where you could catch him on X for Cormac Lichty. You could catch him at Cormac_United on Instagram. Fellas, it was a blast as always. Appreciate you both and look forward to the next time that we have you here on the record. And for everybody out there, thank you for tuning in. Make sure to head to the website, www.CalledIt.media, to sign up for the newsletter. It is completely free, and with that, you get jam-packed information. You get the daily call, whether you can choose to follow, to fade, add your own input, and see how you stack up amongst the rest of the community. So many outlets available for you. Again, completely free at CalledIt.media. Also, promos and giveaways. Make sure you check it out because we are dishing all of that out at www.CalledIt.media. And of course, you can keep tabs on The Run, where we look to take $250, that investment, and bring it all the way up to $1 million. The Golden Knights came through for our first leg of the run. Now the second leg of the run with this pod, as you can see at $520, we are going to be investing. CalledIt's going to be investing because I'm actually against it a little bit. But the over 213.5 tonight for Game 3 of the NBA Finals. But again, for more of that and to follow along, check it out there. And hey, now we are going live daily. Tomorrow, we will be back at the same time here on the record, 11 a.m. Eastern time. Myself, Stephanie Oti, and of course, John Saporano. We will be here to talk more trades, Kalshi, Polymarket, and whatever the top trending news story of the day is, we have you covered on the record. Best of luck with all your trades and investments today, ladies and gentlemen. We will catch up again tomorrow. Until then, take care.